Hi everybody, I'm Blue Lagoon, and today I'm talking about some of my favorite albums that came out in 2024. These are not in any particular order, except I did save what I think is my favorite for the last. First up is Nightwish's new album Yesterwynde. This is Nightwish going even more grandiose and cinematic and maximal than they were before. It's a very long album, 71 minutes. The songs are like 6, 8, even 9 minutes long at times. It's funny, if you described the album to me like that before I listened to it, I probably would have just figured it wasn't for me, or I wasn't going to like it as much as their other stuff. But I really like it, and I think it's a case of, yo dog, I heard you like Nightwish, so we put some Nightwish in your Nightwish so you can Nightwish, etc. I mean, if you like what they're doing, nobody does it quite like Nightwish. The mixes on this album are really impressive to me. There's so much stuff going on, so many different elements taking up space, and yet nothing feels heavy or bloated or muddy. The drums are very satisfyingly punchy throughout. One thing I really noticed on this album compared to previous ones is the bass. I don't know if it's because they have a new bass player or they're just accentuating it in the mix or both, but I noticed it a lot more than I used to, and it's got a really nice sound. Anyway, if you're into cinematic metal or symphonic metal, you got to check this out. You'll probably like it. Next up is Bobbie Dazzle's album Fandabidozi. I was really excited to discover this one. This is like glam rock and prog rock combined. It's like all the best parts of late 70s era rock music. First of all, the vocals are great. Bobbie Dazzle has a fantastic rock voice. There's hooks and killer guitar riffs throughout the album. There's lots of left turns and surprises. Again, there's a lot of prog influence. But overall, it's just a glammy, proggy, fun time, and I love listening to it every time I put it on. Next up is Bart Graft's album 10 Pearls. This is just vibes in album form. I don't listen to a lot of instrumental music, so if I put an instrumental album on my top of the year list, you got to think it's pretty good. So you should check it out, listen to track 2, see what you think. I suspect that within 30 seconds, you'll either be wanting to be carried away by it, or maybe it won't be your thing. But I'm definitely in the former camp. I feel like this album just wraps me in a cocoon of, it's like nostalgia kind of, and certainly, a lot of the synth rompler sounds are from the 90s or whatever, but it doesn't make me nostalgic for the 90s. It's more like I'm nostalgic for some like alternate timeline that doesn't actually exist or something. But anyway, yeah, just vibes upon vibes. Next up is Fabiana Palladino's self-titled album. This one has a very heavy 80s aesthetic, but it's not the 80s that you would imagine. It's not like the 80s synth pop sound that's kind of permeating all of modern pop music these days. This is more like soul pop, city pop, R&B. I hear like Prince, Kate Bush, Janet Jackson, maybe even bands like Toto in there. The album reminds me a lot of what Jessie Ware has been doing with her past couple albums, except maybe like shifted 10 years forward or so. And while it's got a very 80s sound, the production is very modern. It's got a heft and a warmth and a space to it that I don't think actual 80s recordings could quite get to. It's kind of a sneaky grower of an album. Like, I like it better every time that I listen to it. It's one of those albums where you kind of have to recalibrate your listening or something. Like, it reminds me of The National. Like, The National is one of those bands where if I sit down and just hear one National song, it kind of just goes by. But if I get into it and really start listening to The National a lot, everything kind of opens up. It's kind of the same with this album too. Like, it's got its own little universe that you kind of have to sit in for a little bit before it opens up, but it's very rewarding once it does. Next up is the Last Dinner Party's album Prelude to Ecstasy. This is just a phenomenal debut album. Like, they just come out with this vision fully realized, and it doesn't really sound like anything else. It's got a great sound. I love the vocals, the lyrics. The lyrics are, telling stories and inhabiting characters that are, different from typical pop music. The arrangements are fantastic on this album. I just love how they feel spacious, and yet also there's all kinds of things going on. They're very intricate, but it all kind of locks together in a really satisfying way. Okay, next up is Win the War by Digital Love. This album is just a feast for synth pop fans. I hear a lot of like Madonna, stock Aitken Waterman, freestyle kind of vibes in here. The songwriting is deft. The melodies are super strong. The lyrics are very personal and heartfelt. Every time I think that I have a favorite track on the album, the next one comes along and I think, no, this is my favorite track. No, this is my favorite track. And honestly, I think the last song on the album is my favorite song. The way that the last few songs just ramp up in emotional intensity is just incredible, and it's quite the journey. I'm noticing a trend. These top few albums that I have on this list are self-produced or artists coming at it with a very specific vision that they are realizing that kind of sets them apart from, the average pop stuff out there. Which leads me to my number one album, which was also a self-production. This is Allie X, Girl with No Face. And it honestly is weirding me out that this is not on more best of lists of the year. If you like some of the top pop albums of the year, like Charlie XCX or Chapel Roan, I just can't imagine that you won't absolutely love this album too. I just adore the new wavy, gothic, dark synth pop sound that she's working with. There's so much personality on this album, all kinds of cool touches and surprises, and it feels like an album that I don't think anybody else could have made this. You know, she has an incredible vocal range, and she very carefully, you know, employs it at just the right places. And like Weird World was the first track that I heard for this album. And at first, you know, the vocals were just kind of in a normal range or whatever. But then she starts to wail a bit and the ad-libs come in and it just starts getting unhinged. You know, there are songs on this album where the second verse will be an octave higher and with a completely different sound from the first verse. And just fantastic stuff. Some of the other standout tracks are Galena. I mean, the melancholy and the kind of quiet desperation that she infuses into that song is amazing. Black Eye goes really hard. Truly Dreams is such a great uplift at the end of the album, and there's a little synth and then later vocal hook in there that is just sublime. Little oh. And then halfway through the year, she released an extended version of the album that has probably my favorite song of the year on it, and that's Bon Voyage. The spaciousness, the vocal delivery throughout, the synth bass, like sometimes it arpeggiates, sometimes it doesn't, and the choice of when that happens is amazing. The guitar part is just otherworldly. It's new wavy, kind of Cure-ish guitar part, just gorgeous. But it's the pre-chorus of the song that just kills me. It somehow taps into like the human feeling of longing, and I don't know, there's just something about it that just really speaks to me, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's just an incredible album, and I really feel like people are sleeping on it. In fact, there's a song on the album called Slept on Me, which is kind of about that. But anyway, if you like pop music of any kind, especially synth pop, you've really got to check this one out. Check out Galena, check out Bon Voyage, and I suspect you're going to really like this album. I certainly do. All right, everybody, those are my favorite albums of 2024. I hope that you can check them out and find something that you like. Now that you know my musical taste, if there's anything you think I should check out that I probably missed, and I did miss a whole lot this year, maybe put them in the comments and I'll look. On the Blue Lagoon front, I put out an album in April. It's a compilation of singles with remixing and re-recording and all that kind of thing, with one new song on it also. And then I put out a collaboration with German synth artist UAP called Invisible. You can find those both on this channel. So I got lots more coming. I have like 3 EPs or albums in 3 different genres in the works. So stay tuned for all that kind of stuff. And thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.